Hi, I'm Bria. Welcome back to my channel. And today I'm going to be doing book recommendations as my favorite songs. And the first book that I'm going to do is Before We Were Strangers by Renee Carlino. I relate this song to Maroon by Taylor Swift so much. Like, literally, when I read this, that's all I could think about. I talk about this book way too much. I'm sorry. Specifically, the first verse when Taylor Swift sings, "How'd we end up on the floor anyway? Your roommate's cheap ass rooftop rose. That's how I see you every day now." We really did see each other every day in the dorms, and they used to hang out all the time. Also, because this is a second chance romance, the part that says the rust that grew between telephones, that is so them. And of course, the chorus that says, "And I chose you, the one I was dancing with in New York." This is based in New York. So much about Maroon feels like this book. And if you love Maroon, you should definitely read this book. I also relate Daylight by Taylor Swift to this book too. When the bridge goes, "And I could still see it all in my head, back and forth from New York, sneaking in your bed." Those are the two songs that I relate to Before We Were Strangers by Renee Carlino. If you like those songs, you should read this book. If you like this book, you should listen to those songs. The next book I have is Happy Hour by Marlo Granados, and I relate this book to Helen of Troy by Lorde. I feel like this entire book is just about two girls living in New York and they're trying to make it. They don't really have a lot of money and they're just going around having fun, enjoying life, but they're also like facing so many struggles of being a woman. And that song, Helen of Troy by Lorde, I also think of that song about it's about adulthood and rejection and also like looking for external validation. And I feel like that song just suits this entire book so much. So it's hard, but do your best, give yourself a break, have a little faith. And there's also another part that says, "So when you're broke and can't get ahead." I feel like that's so them. Like they were just trying to survive in New York their entire time. I underlined so much of this book, but one of the things I underlined says, "It is interesting to note that many people believe getting someone to treat you with respect is an achievement. I know I'm in New York, but I simply cannot aspire to have the bar set so low." Yeah, I relate the song "Tell of Troy" a lot. Another song that I relate to this book is "This Is What Makes Us Girls" by Lana Del Rey. The chorus goes, "This is what makes us girls. We all look for heaven and we put love first, something we die for. It's our curse." And on another thing that I underlined was, "I've never seen anyone so motivated by rejection. How lucky am I to feel the blush of romance and be young enough to break away unscathed, untouched, and free to make the mistake over and over." So yeah, this book, Helen of Troy by Lorde, and also "This Is What Makes Us Girls" by Lana Del Rey. So One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid. The songs I relate to this are "Two Ghosts" by Harry Styles. The chorus goes, "We're not who we used to be. We're just two ghosts standing in the place of you and me." And I feel like that describes two of the main characters in this book perfectly. Also, from Jesse's point of view, I relate "The View Between Villages" by Noah Kahan. That song goes, "A minute from home, but I feel so far from it." And I feel like I relate that because even when he got back home, he felt like so lost. The song goes on to say, "The things that I lost here, the people I knew, they got me surrounded for a mile or two." And I just feel like that's just how he felt. He came back home and he just felt completely lost, but this was a place that was literally where he grew up and it's a place that he should have known the best. I think that song also relates to coming to terms with the past and moving on and getting ready for the future. And that's something that Jesse really had to do. Another song that I relate to this book is "Evermore" by Taylor Swift. And obviously, it's a metaphor for her, but in this, like relating to Jesse in this book, I feel like it's kind of literal. The line that goes, "I'm on waves out being tossed." And then also, "When I was shipwrecked, I thought of you. In the cracks of light, I dreamed of you." And it was real enough to get me through. I feel like when Jesse was lost at sea, he was just thinking constantly about the main character. And it did get him through. And he finally got home. So, "Evermore" by Taylor Swift. For this one, also "Two Ghosts" by Harry Styles. Another one of my favorite books, "Sorrow and Bliss" by Meg Mason. And I relate "This Is Me Trying" by Taylor Swift. When she goes, "I had a hard time adjusting. I had the shiniest wheels, now they're rusting." I feel like that is just the main character to a T. One of the things that I highlighted in this was They could not tell that for most of my adult life and all of my marriage, I've been trying to become the opposite of myself. Another song that I relate this book to is Sorry by Halsey. There's a line in that song that goes, "Don't realize how mean I could be. I can sometimes treat the people I love like jewelry." This is her husband speaking. "I was the one that had to absorb all of your pain and have your rage directed at me. A lot of the time, it seemed like you actively wanted to be miserable and you still expected constant support." So yeah, I relate that song. I feel like that song is so this. In the song, it also goes, "Sorry that I can't believe that anyone really falls in love with me." And here I highlighted, "I've been unbearable, but I have never been unloved." I have a lot of songs that I relate to this book actually, but TV by Billie Eilish, when she kind of just repeats over and over again, "Maybe I'm the problem, maybe I'm the problem." I feel like the whole like vibe of that song and the sadness is so this book. Like listening to that song and reading this book will just work so well together. Another song that I relate to this book is Antihero by Taylor Swift. "I'll stare directly at the sun, but never in the mirror. It must be exhausting, always rooting for the antihero." Because everyone in this book, her sister, her family, her husband, they're all rooting for her. They all want her to get better, but she is just miserable and she can't. So, yeah, I feel like that song works perfectly for this book too. Ooh, I also relate Fine Line by Harry Styles. The line that goes, "You've got my devotion, but man, I could hate you sometimes." That's her husband to her. And then at the end it goes, "We'll be all right. We'll be a fine line. We'll be all right." Yeah, that that works for this too. Beach Read by Emily Henry. I love this book so much. Um, and one of my favorite songs right now is Northern Attitude by Noah Kahan featuring Hosier. I feel like that whole song is so Gus. I feel like if Gus were a real person, he would be listening to Northern Attitude right now. The chorus, "If I get too close and I'm not how you hoped, forgive my Northern attitude." There's a part that January was thinking about Gus and she goes, "I thought he was lazy about everything except writing. Now I wondered if he was simply tired, if life had beaten him into a permanent slouch, folded him over himself so no one could get to that soft center." The next book I have is Cleopatra and Frankenstein by Coco Mellors. And the first song I relate to this is Liability by Lorde. "I understand I'm a liability, get you wild and make you leave." Cleo. And also the line in Liability that goes, "The truth is I'm a toy that people enjoy until the tricks don't work anymore." The next song is one of my favorite songs of all time, Tolerated by Taylor Swift. A lot of Taylor Swift in here, I'm sorry, but she just makes good storytelling songs. So this works for books. So there's a line in Tolerated that goes, "You're so much older and wiser, so I wait for you by the door like I'm just a kid." That's definitely like the main characters. But the part that I relate to this book the most, the bridge, "While you were out building other worlds, where was I? Where's that man who threw blankets over my barbed wire? I made you my temple, my mural, my sky, and now I'm begging for footnotes in the story of your life." Literally from beginning to end. If I could summarize this book, that's what I would say. "I know my love should be celebrated, but you tolerate it." There's a part where Cleo and Frank were having a fight, and she goes, "Do you know how easy it is to be you? You live in a city you were born in. You're surrounded by people who love you." And then he was like, "Yeah, so do you, whatever." And she goes, "No, I have no one," which is crazy because she was married to this guy. She was married and she felt like she had absolutely no one. So, yeah, Tolerated, Liability. Those are the songs that I think of when I read this book. The Long Way Home, Magnolia Parks. So this entire series is about a couple who's very toxic and on and off. I always relate them to Chuck and Blair from Gossip Girl. And in this book, they're mostly off and seeing other people. And I feel like the song that I relate to this is Somebody Else by the 1975. "I don't want your body, but I hate to see you with somebody else." That is literally Magnolia and BJ, completely them. They were seeing other people, yet they were still so connected. Another song that I relate to this one is It Over Now by Taylor Swift. when she goes, "Was it over when she laid down on your couch? Was it over when he unbuttoned my blouse?" Because as I said, they were seeing other people. And then the line that goes, "You dream of my mouth before it called you a lying traitor. You search in every model's bed for something greater." That is so BJ. I feel like that is also just something Magnolia would say to BJ. So yeah, those are two songs for this book of the series. And the next book is also in this series because, as I said, best series ever. This one is The Great Daisy Hates, The Great Undoing, The Great Undoing, Daisy Hates, however you want to say it. Um, this is the last one that's been out, and this one is more focused on, well, it's supposed to be focused on Daisy, but it's more focused on Julian, which means Magnolia is also in this one a lot. So one of the songs that I relate this book to is Peace by Taylor Swift. I feel like from Julian's point of view, the line that goes, "As long as danger is near and it's just around the corner, darling, because it lives with me," that is so Julian to Magnolia. I feel like he was doing everything he could to protect her. And then also the line that says, "And all these people think love's for show, but I would die for you in secret." If that doesn't tell you to read this book, I don't know what will. But I mean, I guess you would have to read the entire series, but it's worth it just for Julian Hates. "I'd give you my sunshine, I'd give you my best, but the rain is always gonna come if you're standing with me." Again, just that is so Julian. From Julian's perspective to Magnolia, I feel like Peace is a song, and those lines just describe their entire situation perfectly. Another song that I relate this book to is Little Freak by Harry Styles. The line that goes, "I'm not worried about where you are or who you go home to. I'm just thinking about you." Again, that's so like Julian and Magnolia's relationship. They had so many other things going on, but all he like worried about was her, and all he thought about was her, even though he had way bigger problems. Anyway, that's it. Those are some of my favorite books, some of my favorite songs. If you like any of those books, you should listen to all those songs. I'll actually make a playlist on Spotify and link that down below. And if you like any of those songs, you should definitely read all of these books. I don't even need to like give you a synopsis. I feel like those songs and the lines that correlate to those books, that's the synopsis itself. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, please subscribe, and I will see you soon. Bye!